Good morning. I'm Rob Lester, your host for the Living Faith by the Letter weekly video series designed to spark your interest, drive you deeper into study of the Bible, and to find a way to encourage you and help you to live your faith out in the real world, which is what we all should be trying to do. The letter we're going to consider today is the letter H. H stands for Hagar. Never been sure if that's exactly how you pronounce her name, but that's the way I'm going to pronounce it. Hagar. We're introduced to Hagar in Genesis chapter 16 as Sarah's maidservant. I love the stories of people like Hagar that are, I call them like second stringers, backbenchers, people that don't normally get a lot of attention. Like Andrew, the brother of Peter. Peter gets all the attention in the press, and Andrew gets kind of forgotten about, but still very important. So I'm always intrigued by the stories of those people who don't quite get the head, but they're also very important and pivotal to God's overall plan. Hagar is one of those people. Again, we're introduced to her in Genesis chapter 16 as Sarah's maidservant. That's how we meet her. So already she is property. Uh, she is Sarah's maidservant, means that she belonged to her. Sort of starts off on a sad note. And likely she came out of, she's referred to as an Egyptian. In Genesis chapter 12, when Abraham was in Egypt and Pharaoh tried to get with Sarah, and that didn't work out very well. God was warned him off of that, but Abraham was given livestock and servants from Egypt, and it's likely that Hagar was among these people. Uh, as Sarah's maidservant, Sarah controlled her, and she could not have children. She wanted to give Abraham a son, an heir, so uh, Hagar is commanded by Sarah to lie with Abraham, her husband, in order to give Sarah children through her. It's kind of a bizarre process, but that's the way things were done, I guess, in that day. So again, we see Hagar. She doesn't have any consent in this. She doesn't say, "Well, I don't think this is a good idea, mistress." She just has to do it. So it's very sad, and it doesn't work out well. Proverbs chapter 30 and verse 21 says, "Under three things the earth quakes, and under four it cannot bear up: under a slave when he becomes king, and a fool when he is satisfied with food; under an unloved woman when she gets a husband, and a maidservant when she supplants her mistress." And that's exactly what happened. She did indeed become pregnant, and it says that her mistress Sarah was despised in her eyes. So she cops a bit of an attitude. This is big trouble, big trouble. But we have to remember, it wasn't trouble of her own making. This was Sarah's idea, and it was Abraham who went along with this. So she had to just go along with it as well. So now Hagar now has bad attitude toward her mistress, and Sarah reacts harshly to this. She says, "Oh, I've made a terrible mistake. This was not a great idea." So she treats Hagar harshly. We don't know if that means that she was just mean to her, or if she beat her, or gave her bad duties, terrible jobs to do, or something. But Hagar runs away. She's in despair. She runs away. She's pregnant, but God finds her, and He speaks to her, and He tells her that she's going to have a son, which will be an heir to Abraham. So that will be good news for her, and for certainly pleasing to Abraham, thinking that maybe her life will improve some because of that. And God blesses her by telling her that she will have a multitude of descendants that they won't be able to be counted. So God blesses her here. And she calls God, because of this, she calls him El Roi, which means the God who sees. I think it's a very beautiful name for God, the God who sees, because she ran away. She was out in the wilderness, and God says, "I see you. I found you." So she feels seen. In the language of today, people like to feel seen. She felt seen, and she felt acknowledged, that she had some worth. She was important to God, and that was a good feeling. Her son Ishmael is born. Abraham loves him, and as he gets older, God fulfills his promise to Abraham and Sarah, by giving them Isaac. Isaac is born, and Sarah realizes that this situation can't go on, and she tells Abraham, she says, "Cast out the bondwoman." So notice how Poor Hagar has started off as a maidservant, and now she is the bondwoman. So she's just a straight up slave property, and it's a bad thing. It's terrible. Abraham, rightly to his credit, is upset by this idea. He's offended by that. He doesn't think they should be doing that. But God reassures Abraham that He's going to take care of Ishmael. I think he is his son. He's going to take care of Ishmael, going to take care of Hagar, and that Ishmael is going to be blessed as well. So He sends Hagar out. Hagar and Ishmael are out in the wilderness again. They're lost in the wilderness. Hagar is in that situation she was in before, but again, while she is lost and hopeless, God sees her and He provides for her. He tells her there's a well of water over there so they don't die of dehydration. And again, He provides and he blesses them. And He says that Ishmael is going to be a great leader of many men. I think it's a beautiful story, and it's really just a reminder that God sees everyone and that He cares for them no matter what their situation. Hagar wasn't perfect. She copped an attitude after she got pregnant. She rebelled against her mistress. She ran away, and that attitude seems to have rubbed off on her son when you see Ishmael mocking or making fun at Isaac's weaning ceremony. So she wasn't a perfect mother, and yet and Ishmael was not perfect either. Ishmael would become the father of the Arab people, just as Isaac would become the forefather of the Israelite people. And as we know, about 4,000 years going now, there's been conflict between the Arabs and the Israelis. So, but this is a beautiful story that tells how God He still cares and He provides, even for the imperfect and for the abused, for the cast out, for the ignored. When you don't feel loved, when you don't feel valued by anybody, know that God sees you and God loves you. And I hope that message will be an encouragement to you today. May the Lord bless you.